Hi there, my name is Gary. I'm an alcoholic, and welcome to the Saturday night recovery meeting for Alcoholics Anonymous. And tonight is a working step meeting, and we'll meet for approximately 1.5 hours without a break. And out of respect for others, request that you refrain from cross-talking or commenting while others are sharing, and keeping yourself muted as much as possible when the meeting's underway. And thank you very much for anybody who's a Blue Jays or Dodgers fan who's taken the time to participate tonight. They say we need to go to any lengths to stay sober, so this is a good testimony to that. Purpose of the meeting is not only for the new member to understand the 12 steps, but also to do them and to practice them. And on that note, we're moving into step 4 tonight, which means that we will be getting into some homework, tangible pen on paper kind of homework tonight. So that's good. Um, let's just take a moment of silence to remember those of us in and out of the rooms and still struggling, and then we'll follow that with a set aside prayer here. Great. God, please help me set aside everything I think I know about myself, the 12 steps, the big book, the meetings, my disease, and you, God. Um, you and the 12 steps, and I hope that I might have an open mind and a new experience. Amen. And with that, just a quick recap on last week. Last week we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand Him. And you know, the important thing there is that we're making a decision. And we're discussing this with Amy and Jill yesterday. And just the adage that comes to mind, or the example that comes to mind for me was when I read. I was out walking in the woods one day and I heard Joe and Charlie discuss this step because I had a hard time coming to understand what it actually meant. And they said, your will is your thoughts and your life is your actions, and turn them over to a spiritual way of living. And the way this program was described, and Joe and Charlie talk about it, is the rest of the program, the whole program, is a spiritual way of life. We fall back on these steps constantly in our sobriety. So basically, as they said, just make a decision to get on with doing the rest of the steps. Work on step 4 and work your way through to step 12, and you will have had a spiritual awakening by the end of these steps. And it's pretty well, it's a guarantee. It's promised in step 12. It says, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. So even if you have spent the week trying to figure out what your higher power is and still struggling, it doesn't matter. The whole point is that you're searching, and that's where it starts. It's just being willing to accept the fact that there must be something bigger than me, because I certainly couldn't have created the world. I couldn't have, I can't even control my own breathing or rest, the blood pumping in my veins, all that kind of stuff. Like, or the power of the waves, whatever you want to look at it. There's a lot of things that I cannot control. Something else is at work, and whether it's nature or God or you know, divine universe, however you look at it, creator, it's all good as long as you believe that there's something at work better than you or bigger than you. And yeah, you know, just make the decision to get on with doing the work and trust that you'll find your way to a higher power as the rotation moves on. So um, I'm sorry if I'm a little scattered today. I haven't had much time to actually review the materials in the last couple of days. As some of you know, I'm one province over from where I'm normally am. I'm just out here with my mom. She's kind of taken a bit of a bad turn, but for 92 years old, she's hanging in there really well. So I'm here to listen to Jill do her thing tonight more than anything, and be here and be supportive. But I can see Auntie Jill running back to get back into the driver's seat. But yeah, you know, the only thing we have to do at this point is make a decision. And as I say, the only decision you have to make is to get on with doing the rest of the steps and trust that the process will bring you closer to a higher power as you move forward. And with that, um, Jill, we talked about going around the room and asking people how they've done at this step. Did you want to
Yeah,
initiate that?
I think we're just going to go around the room and introduce ourselves, and I'll do the roll call. And maybe if you've got, if you know, any issues connecting with your higher power you've experienced, just bring it up. And it's not necessarily something we need to get into detail now, but I'll also stay on afterwards or make calls afterwards. So let's just go around the room. I'm going to just do a check-in. So, Gary, let's start with you. Did you have any problem with your higher power connecting this week?
Nope, I think like I said, I struggled with this, and the real key for me when got to this point was when we said, I don't have to understand what my higher power is, it's the higher power that as I don't understand it. All I had to do was believe that it was there. And there was absolutely no question in my mind that by the time I got in here that alcohol was a higher power, so why not go looking for something better? And that was all it took to start getting moving forward. Just some openness, willingness, and being honest with myself that I don't know, and that's okay. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Michelle?
I'm already unmuted. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle and I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, definitely no problem for me connecting with my higher power. I had that right from the get-go, so that was pretty easy. What I have discovered that in the last probably month or so, a few weeks, that I've actually really loved my higher power now, and I feel safe. And that's a big difference because I spent many years hating my higher power. I knew it was there. I knew there was something else, but I just was not happy with it. And I can actually say that I love my higher power. I've said that in prayer and it just comes out naturally now. So that's
Love
where
it.
I'm at.
Great check-in. Thanks, Michelle. Annie.
Hi, I'm Annie and I'm an alcoholic. I've never really had a problem with the higher power thing, or at least my understanding of a higher power. I just practice makes perfect kind of thing. I just have to practice connecting with my higher power, like actively connecting and praying and stuff like that. That's kind of where I struggle, but believing that a power greater than myself is not a problem for me.
Awesome. Good to hear it. Barb.
My higher power has always been nature. I'm always good when I'm outside. It's when I get trapped in a box, even when it's my house, which I love. Uh, that's when the disconnect happens and I get stuck in my head. Um, yeah, my favorite jobs I've ever had have always been outside, landscaping, firefighting, tree planting. I find myself now working in a box, literally a tiny 12 by 12 room again. And in my head. But yeah, no, it's always been nature. Like today I spent most of it outside, started in full on rain pants, rain jacket, boots at the beach, watching eagles grab fish and seals. And yeah, by the end of the day, it was bright, clear, and sunny, and went for a walk in the forest. So everything's great when I'm outside.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Barb. Laura, come on in, please. Any HP issues?
No HP issues on my end. I'm totally open and willing, and I love my higher power. I connect with my higher power all the time. And I too love being in nature. It grounds me and cleanses me. Thank you for your service.
Love it. Ron, HP issues or not?
No, when I first come into Alcoholics Anonymous, that was it. The problem I had is prejudice. I have to sweep the prejudice out of the way. That's my biggest problem.
We're going to work on that one tonight. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
I know, I know.
Hey, Amy, you tuned into HP? Just nod. Or can you come in?
I'm here. Amy, alcoholic. Yeah, I didn't struggle with HP at all. My thing was that I had made alcohol the ruler and the king of my life. I had made it my HP, so Alcoholics Anonymous has brought me back, which is wonderful, and teaching me not the religious side, which is what I'd always been taught, but the spiritual side. And that's changed. It's turned my life upside down in a good way,
Love it.
obviously.
All right, love it. John, Whistler Mountain Group, how are you and your higher power doing?
Hi there, John Alcoholic. Yeah, no, I'm good with my higher power. I think it was definitely something that I struggled with the first time I tried AA many years ago, before I even did the program, or I did the AA hokey pokey. But this, coming back in and really investing myself in the steps and developing that conscious contact has worked out great for me. So yeah, no problems on my end.
Love it. Maya, how are you and HP doing?
Hi, Maya Alcoholic. Great, good week with my HP and I. Kind of echoing what Amy said, that the spiritual aspect of the program there's been ease with it, because I have always had a relationship with my higher power from early childhood onward. But I'm convinced that the moment I took my first drink, I started to lose my connection with my higher power, and that progressed along with the progression of the disease. So it's been so amazing reconnecting with the program. So
Love it. Good one. Gordo, how are you and HP doing?
Thanks, Gordon Alcoholic. Yeah, my HP and I are sometimes it feels like a one-way conversation, but that conversation is being had. Like I said before, I do struggle with surrender, so just constantly, not constantly, as much as I can, just trying to just accept things the way they are, trying to make that connection, like spiritually. It's a lot easier when things are going really the way you want them to, but when they're not going the way that you want them to just sit back and relax and just say, okay, well, this is why this is happening for a reason. And so the surrender part is something I'm definitely still working on, and but it's gradually becoming a working part of the mind.
Great.
So yeah, it's coming along quite nice.
Oh, that is progress, and I know that. Lindsay, would you like to come in, or are you listening, sweetheart?
I'm here. I'm gonna make it quick. I'm coming down with something. I love my HP. I ended up changing my HP, I guess, about 9 months in. It just made more sense. And yeah, my HP has walked with me and guided me, and it's been great.
Wonderful. I'm loving this. Okay, Lisa Lou, come in, please. And then Kieran, then Jana, and then we're into step 4.
Hi, everybody. Lisa, drunkard in recovery. I've had a very good week. I think the combination of being in this study, praying and talking to the HP, and feeling the faith and the hope have really made a difference. It goes on and off, so I'm still learning how this works, but I'm very, very hopeful, and I feel actually looking forward to doing my step 4, if you can believe it. Okay, thanks.
Come on in. Thank you, Lisa. And I'm looking forward to doing it with you. Kieran, come on in.
Hi everyone, Kieran, alcoholic. Less of an HP issue and more of a KN issue. Those are my initials. I think that it's definitely a surrender thing. My higher power is the spirit of awareness, which works fabulously when I'm connected to it, and when I'm not, I can get in the way. There's a bit, I think it's what I'm what I'm thinking is that I would benefit from simplifying things a little bit, because while awareness is always there, it's either there or like I'm either connected to it or I'm not. I would probably be better suited with something that I cannot doubt the existence of, something pertaining to nature. So in flux, I would say.
Okay, good to hear, and glad you are here. Jana, come on in, sweetheart.
Hi. Yeah, I'm just kind of like deciding which way I want to go. But I'm definitely talking to someone. So, like, I'm talking to someone in the spirit world, but I haven't really decided who I wanted or what I want to name it yet. So, but right now, I just say, you know, that I just say, you know, just what do I say? Sometimes I say God, sometimes I say higher spirit. I'm just like, you know what, just, you know, I just like talk to the earth. I talk to, yeah. So I haven't really decided, but it's working out for me so far. So just having different you know, higher powers, just trying to figure out, you know, what's gonna like be the whole vibe for me. So I'm still working on it.
Well, I love that because that segues perfectly into my name's Jill and I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. And my HP and why I refer to it as HP, and it's not the sauce, it's HP higher power because it's my own definition. It could be a sauce. It doesn't matter. It's what matters to me. And it started with an idea. And now it's developed into an ongoing conversation that just doesn't stop. And it shines brighter when I connect with you because I truly think what happens in these rooms is all of our higher powers wind together if we let them, and we get an amazing power source. And for me, that's the spiritual experience of the meeting. But it's not just about meetings, is it? It's about the steps. And tonight we are jumping into step 4 with joy. And I tell you that because with joy, because I dreaded this and drank on this for 20 years. And it was because I thought it was something much bigger than it actually was. And because I also was afraid of being honest with myself. I didn't even know what that looked like. And really, to be honest with you, for most of the time, I just didn't care because I was thinking more about myself. But when I did start to understand what AA was about, and I'd hear people saying about, oh yeah, I had to do step 4, and oh my God, you know, I had to go through everything I'd done wrong. And it was like, wow, this is not a big deal. Once I understood it in the big book, it's like we were talking about any business doing their inventory, right? We're going to look at the good stuff. And what I like about the little red book is it gets us to look at that first and constantly as we're going through this process. So tonight, let's just take a look at what step 4 says. And just like we did last week, we're going to break the words down. It's a short step. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. It's only short in the number of words. This step has many flying pieces to it. Okay, so it's an action step, right? This is where we're going through that archway and we are now building our house. We've got a solid foundation in steps 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to put our design and our take on our life, and we're going to bring it into perspective with our higher powers' help and improve it from this point forward. Hallelujah, we're here. It's already started. So this step grates on the alcoholic just by the nature of it. We begin the process of reversing many of our survival behaviors necessary to sustain an alcoholic life. We do not enjoy these self-destructive behaviors, but we've been accustomed to using them. So for example, you know, your God-given sex drive. or any of our drives, our ego, it serves us well. But when we actually use them to defend ourselves and use them as a weapon, then they become tools that they weren't intended for. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to this step, made. This step demands positive action, like making your bed. Made. It is not accomplished all at once, but gradually. Okay? So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to walk through this and we're going to nail the bigger part of it. But it's going to happen gradually, and you're going to get as much out of it, I promise you, as you put pen to paper and hours on this one. Okay, there's two theories about taking this step. One is, don't take it until you're absolutely ready. Okay? The second notion is, take it right away, wherever you're at. Do it right now. Possibly the combination of these two ideas holds more value. Ease into it. But remember to be gentle on yourself. And I'll add to that. Make sure you're walking through this step, communicating with other people. Okay? If you haven't got a sponsor, I hope you guys will turn to each other in this group, or, give Gary, Amy, me a call. This is where your life is really going to start to change. So looking at the step again, okay, we've done made. Now, searching and fearless. This means being as honest as you can be at the moment. Okay, now let's take a lot of fear out of step 4 right with that. It's where you are right now and what you can put pen to paper with and cope with right now. Because if you're thorough, the steps are circular, not linear, and you'll be able to do further step 4s in the future. Because as it says in the big book, more will be revealed to you as you go through these steps. And then you'll suddenly realize, oh, maybe I should have gone back and done a step 4 on this or that. So don't get freaked out about having to do this step perfectly. Best efforts is what we're after. Okay? Then the other thing it says is that we are used to rationalizing. Rationalizing, okay? So sincerity is mandatory. Now, what does that mean? Okay, lots of different ways of avoiding looking at things honestly. Rationalizing, deflecting, exaggerating or minimizing, or trying to make some sort of excuse for it, which is essentially what rationalizing is. So remember, we're not judging here. Okay, we're not judging. We're taking an honest inventory. And what we want to do is be able to take a snapshot that is really a very clear reflection of who we are at this moment in time. There's no judging going on here. This is where Jill, the alcoholic, is at Jill 1.0 when I came in this room and I was doing my first step 4. The Jill that is hopefully now more into her 2.0 sober self doesn't have the same things on the list because I did this work. Okay, so that's what it's warning us there. We're used to rationalizing, so be sincere. And then it's saying that bit's mandatory. You don't have to do it perfectly, but you have to be sincere. And as they say, how free do you want to be? Now, the next part it says here, in doing a moral inventory, okay, we want to take advantage of our assets. See, it jumps right into this, our good points, in order to work on our liabilities. And I love the way the Little Red Book puts the assets first. Our behavior indicates attitudes and personalities, but don't get stuck in the details. Try to see through the phony behavior. Okay, so there's a part in the materials that we'll get to later, and it talks about deflecting and minimizing. It's a little chart, PDF, that's in the materials that when we go to the homework stuff, I want you to look at. Because you might find if you're thinking, oh, none of this applies to me and I've got absolutely nothing to write down, take a look at your sincerity and see if you're doing any of the things that are on that list. Okay? Next bit. This is not an examination of conscience. Like I said, we're not judging here. There's no good or bad. We are not only looking for sins and evil deeds we might have done in the past, we are looking for personality traits and conflicts that cause us distress. So in essence, what we're looking for here is the pattern. Like, why do I keep doing this over and over and over again? And it's not just the drink. What I discovered on a personal note in this, that every relationship that I'd gotten into that was serious, alcohol was the only reason I got in that relationship. They're not the person that I would have chosen in the light of day had I been sober. Alcohol was a factor, but I also saw that I was afraid to be alone. So what we're going to dig into once we identify this inventory is we're going to find our fears underneath them and our personality traits. And that's basically what it's saying here. So we know what our picture is, our starting point. And as Gary was explaining to me when we were discussing this, imagine in modern day terms, if you were going on Google Maps, what's the first thing you're going to enter to get valid information? You're going to pin exactly where you are. So don't be afraid of this. It's a fact-finding mission. We're just pinning right where you are today. And this is only written for your eyes. I'm not going to read it, nor is anybody else. But it's like how focused can you be on owning exactly where you are today and acknowledging it as a fact-finding mission. No judgment, okay? So this is what the next bit says, and I love this. Inventory is from a Latin word that means to find, okay? So what's the point of us doing all this? It's not to rake us over the coals and feel that we're some sort of horrible person. We are looking for our character defects and shortcomings that cause us problems. And if you're an alcoholic like me, I was so selfish, I didn't think I had any shortcomings, but then I'd never bothered to look. I didn't realize I was arrogant, selfish, grandiose, a whole bunch of things I've owned since. But I've done a lot working on this list to move into the assets. What can I do today to be the opposite of that? Okay, we are all endowed by nature with certain wonderful and powerful instincts. Otherwise, we would not have survived. Our problem is that in our disease, we have exercised some of these instincts to the extreme. And it has become a way of life that we now see as destructive. So in these steps, we're going to address these misdirected instincts. So you're going to see as we go through these charts and these lists and these questions, which is the homework that you're going to work on, because this is a 2-week step. We're not moving on to 5 next week. We're coming back in here next week to go over your homework. And that doesn't mean you have to read your specific answers, but I will offer a breakout to hear something in particular. So if you want to say something personal, one-on-one, we'll make that provision. So you can get as deep into this as you want, or you can just learn this, what the idea of it is, if you're not ready to embark upon this. So, but don't be afraid of it, okay? Just don't be afraid of it. Have a go as far as you want to on this one. Anyway, step 4 is a vigorous and painstaking effort to discover what these liabilities in each of us has been and are now. So we're looking at our good points and also our bad points. By discovering what our emotional conflicts are, we can move towards their correction. We cannot do this without taking a good look at ourselves. So, in other words, you're going to get out of this what you put into it. If you gloss over it and try do it half an hour before the next meeting, you're going to have that sort of experience. If you jump into this, and it's actually mind-bending. What I learned about myself, this was the best therapy I've ever had, and it was free. Okay? Anyway, let's move on. The alcoholic cannot live with discomfort for great periods of time without eventually seeking relief in alcohol. Well, isn't that true? right? We drink because we have a feeling of unease. We can't cope with in my case, I couldn't cope with certain emotions, good and bad, right? Good stuff would happen and I'd suffer from an imposter complex or something and feel I need a drink. The whole point to this is we're not going to get bogged down in being afraid of looking at where we're at. It's a snapshot of today. Okay, so with this, what we're going to do is turn to the little red book, and we're going to go around the room. And this time there are 5 key ideas that are going to pop up out of the little red book. So this starts step 4. It's on page 47. So if you have it, I don't know where Amy's gone. Amy, are you able to put up the little red book? Looks like she got disconnected. So she's going from her house into her place and she'll reconnect. But if you want this for yourself, just go on to the website and scroll down and click on it. So that's the aaamend.com.
I think I can share it, Jill.
Oh, that would be awesome.
So just confirm we're on key idea 1.
Oh, no, we're actually reading from the little red book. And then and then the key idea 1 is what we're going to jump into when it comes up here. But we're going to go around the room and read from the little, has everybody got a little red book available to them to read from? Or are you?
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we
Yes,
do it?
but what page? What page?
Okay, step 4, it starts on page 47. There's a blank page and then it's 47. It says step 4.
Where are the pages at?
Amy's just lost her internet connection, so I'm sure once she's reconnected, she'll
But,
share.
I mean, there's no page numbers on this.
No, but Jill emailed us the book, and then you just opened up.
I've got the book, but I'm just saying that they don't have any page numbers in the book.
No, if you turn back 2 pages, the last page of step 3 is 40. There's 2 versions of this book. There's a paperback, and that's the problem. So just turn wherever in your book until the title says step 4 is the title.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start the reading of step 4. And then we're going to stop and we're going to discuss the key idea. Okay, so we'll give Amy a second to come back in. Did you say, Ron, Gord, that you can share the homework questions, the key points on the screen? Because that would be helpful if you are able to do that in case people haven't got them to hand.
Oh, I might have overstated capability.
I can share it. I've shared it.
Step 4. Okay, so that's the reading. So, Ron, do you have the workbook with the question? Oh, there's Amy. Amy, are you?
No, I've got it shared.
Okay. Oh yeah, you do. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
That's
what I said.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't see it. I was looking at the wrong place. Okay, so we're going to start with somebody reading the first 2 paragraphs. We've got to get through 8 pages here. So let's get on with, someone want to read from page 1, and then I'm going to stop you when we get to the key idea, which is after you've read the first end of the first page. So Michelle, do you want to start the reading of step 4, read the first page there?
Sure, absolutely. Step 4 made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. The purpose of taking a moral inventory is to expose the harmful character traits of our alcoholic personalities and to eliminate them from the new personalities with the help of the Alcoholics Anonymous program as a way of life we now propose to develop. The AA use of the term personality deals with the development of new character traits necessary to our recovery from alcoholism. It has no relation to personal magnetism emanating from physical health, beauty, or charm. We gauge AA personality by AA maturity that is evidenced by such qualities as strength and understanding from a power greater than ourselves, surrender of self-centeredness, the practice of honesty, humility, gratitude, forgiveness, promptness in admitting wrongs, making amends, service to others, and the example of a happy, sober life. Before we can hope to develop these. Oh,
Hang on, but let's stop there. Okay, so the key point in this one is if you look at your homework, it says we gauge AA personality by AA maturity that is evidenced by such qualities as, and then it lists a whole bunch of character assets there. Do you guys see that? It's right at the beginning there on step 4 in the little red book. So you see that it says we gauge AA personality, third paragraph, by AA maturity that is evidenced by such qualities as strength and understanding from a power greater than ourselves, right? That's our source of our strength now is our higher power. We just did that step. Surrender of self-centeredness, that's the step we're going through now. The ongoing practice of honesty, humility, gratitude, forgiveness, promptnessly admitting our wrongs. What are these? Making amends. Is all this stuff sounding familiar? Service to others sound familiar? These are the 12 steps. So basically what this is saying is our AA personality is our 2.0 version of what we are trying to move towards by letting go of our character defects and attaining the things that doing these steps, these character assets give us by the action step of what we are now doing tonight. So don't be afraid to look at yourself and say, I was a thief. I was dishonest. Okay? And then because that can be replaced with honesty and generosity. It's just a snapshot. Okay, let's
Hey, Jill, could I just interrupt for half a
go
sec
ahead.
there?
You bet.
What I was going to add, excuse me, what I was going to add is that something that I've heard in the meetings that I really like is that we can't think our way to new behavior, but we can behave our way to new thinking. So if you look at this, you know, if you want to have an AA personality, just start behaving in a different way. Just behave with, you know, a focus on the things that we just looked at: honesty, humility, gratitude, forgiveness. You know, even if they're not your natural state, if you start working towards them, just adding, you know, behaving in that way, things will change. But this is a point of looking at them and saying, what do we have? What are we lacking? What do we need to replace? And sorry, back to you.
Yeah, as Gary's saying, fake it to make it, right? It's not too early to start acting as if. And if you start acting today, you've got a lot fewer amends to make down the road. Okay, Barb, do you want to read just this first paragraph? Because I've got to stop you right there again, starting before we can hope. Top of
Right here? Yeah.
just that paragraph.
Before we can hope to develop the qualities that will create desirable AA personalities, we must discover the causes of our powerlessness over alcohol. We wish to know why we've been at war with ourselves. We propose to reveal and study the limitations that alcoholism has placed upon our lives.
And that is the key concept too here. As Amy, do you have the key concepts there? Anyway, it's we wish to know why we have been at war with ourselves. That's number 2. And alcoholism is a disease of denial. We had to deny and distort reality to justify our drinking. Our inventory reflects the negative character traits of the alcoholic personality. So is this becoming clear to everybody that this is very much a like, I want to get better move? Like, I know I've got a lot of crap when I come into this room, but I'm willing to actually own it. But I'm not going to stay stuck there, because as of tonight, now I know that. I also know from the homework what's exactly the opposite of that. And that is going to be my sober personality. So I'm moving from my alcoholic personality to my sober personality. Is that clear for everybody? Okay. So let's carry on with the reading then, please, Barb.
We hope to transcend our alcoholic limitations to straighten our unmanageable lives so we can check our alcoholic personalities. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup which caused our failure. The gravity of our drinking problem. Sorry, it just moved. The gravity of our drinking problem is deep-seated. It involves self-centered habits, physical health, emotions, and misconceptions acquired over a period of years. They've sapped our mental powers, weakened our physical resistance, and have sponsored irrational thought and action. This has caused us extreme mental and physical hardship and brought anxiety and suffering to others. Keep on.
Yeah, that is the own it paragraph. Like, I hope you guys will take the time to read this again on your own in quiet, because that's the own it, right? It sapped my mental powers. Go through the list there, right? It weakened my physical resistance. I still have medical problems. I had irrational thoughts and actions. Oh my gosh, if you ever had a drink and got behind the wheel of a car, that's not rational. So all these things, that's the own it paragraph. That's what I've written next to that one in the book. Okay, carry on to the end of the page, Barb. That's where we get another key concept.
Okay. Arresting our alcoholism is not possible until we have knowledge of our defects. Therefore, we take definitive steps towards correction of our physical, mental, and spiritual disability. We do this when we make a searching and fearless inventory of ourselves. When we do it in a thorough, businesslike way, and when we reasonably excuse other people and truly expose our own faults. The beginner cannot fail to be impressed with the array of flaws that he or she will uncover and wish to correct. The caution to be observed in taking this step is few of us are ready and willing to surrender all of our defects. We wish to cherish a few, and by this procedure we encounter future trouble in the form of partial rehabilitation, which is not the plan of AA recovery program. This step calls for a thorough inventory. Our program is not in accord with halfway.
Hang on, sorry, stop there. Okay, so go back to the first paragraph on 48, or last paragraph. Arresting our alcoholism is not possible until we have knowledge of our defects. Okay, so that third key idea is telling it, arresting means to stop this disease, which is threefold. It's physical. We know, we felt all the effects of it. It's emotional. We know what it's done to our relationships. We know how we feel about also our relationship with ourselves. And it's also spiritual. As I was told, I had a God-shaped hole. I had no spirituality. So we can't change these things until we can assess where we stand in these areas. So that's that's what we're doing right now with this homework, is we're fact finding. And then what the program is going to show us is how to correct this. Okay, is that clear for anybody got any queries about where we're going with this? So again, let's take the scariness out of this step and just say, right, we're doing inventory. That's all we're doing. Hey, Laura, are you there? Did you want to, oh, let's see. I can't see who's able to read. Amy, can you take over for me? Who can read? We're on 49, the beginner.
Sure. Is it John? The Whistler Mountain Group, is that Johnny?
Yeah, it's John.
Okay.
Sorry.
John.
Okay, so John, alcoholic. The beginner cannot fail to be impressed with the array of flaws he or she will uncover and will wish to correct. The caution to be observed in taking the step is few of us are ready and willing to surrender all our defects. We wish to cherish a few, and by this procedure, we encounter future trouble in the form of partial rehabilitation, which is not the plan of the AA recovery program. This step calls for a thorough inventory. Our program is not in accord with halfway measures or efforts. Full rehabilitation is our objective. Reservations defeat this purpose. They take the contentment out of sobriety. Let's be wise and employ the inventory 100%.
Okay, let me just stop you there for 1 second. So when you're doing your homework, you need to take these key ideas and go back and highlight them in the text, right? So at the beginning of that paragraph, it says, this step calls for a thorough inventory. Our program, this is the key idea, our program is not in accord, this is key idea number 4, with halfway measures or efforts. Okay? And then it says right below, we've lived phony lives filled with deception, but the greatest con of all was lying to ourselves. We've ended up believing our own lies. And I think we all know that. Okay, let's move on. Carry on reading, John.
Sure. A moral inventory of a lifetime of drinking is not quickly recorded, nor is it a record that can be simply stated. We find many complexities that require study and meditation. It must be honest, sincere, and thorough. To be effective, it must be a written inventory, as it will later be checked against and often referred to. The mental self-appraisal is merely a supplement to the written inventory. It is necessary, but not sufficient in itself.
Okay, can I stop you there again? So if you look back at key idea number 5, it's in this paragraph. So you're going to go back and highlight the sentence that says, to be effective, it must be a written inventory. And in the big book itself, it says this numerous times. It's not enough to just do what I did, which is sit back and go, yeah, well, I did this and I did that. And yeah, I have this character defect. And I did a very surfacey, cerebral step 4, and it showed because I drank again. So pen to paper, that's the deal here. Nobody else has to read it. Okay, carry on. And then we're going to move into the best parts coming up here in a second. Carry on.
Okay. All right. Experience has taught us this step should be started at once and left open for future reference. So during the process of our mental and spiritual cleanup, we can add new items that present themselves.
So let's stop there. So this is the other reason, you guys, why you got to write this down. We're going to be using this homework to help you finish a bunch of other stuff later on with these other steps. So the more effort you put into it now, it's kind of fun when you build on it, because all of a sudden, if you do it thoroughly, fun, I'm being a little bit sarcastic here, I started to see what my exact character defects were, and I was shocked at the patterns, and I was totally unaware, especially when it came to relationships. I was just blown away. Maya, can you pick up reading at the top of the brief discussion?
The brief discussion of few imperfections that appears in this book is entirely inadequate compared to the thought and time you will need in applying this step to your alcoholic problem. We can refer to the bottom of page 63 through the end of chapter 5 in Alcoholics Anonymous for detailed discussion of step 4. From these pages, you will learn the manner that AA founders advocated for working out our inventories. You will discover various manifestations of self-centeredness are undoubtedly the root of their trouble, and some of these manifestations present themselves in the form of resentment, dishonesty, self-pity, jealousy, criticism, intolerance, fear, and anger.
Okay, so we've gone one better than they did here. We've got a whole bunch of stuff up on the website for you guys to work with, and there's forms and all sorts of stuff that we'll get into in a second. Okay, so now what we're going to go through are the major, pay attention, okay? This is serious, really serious stuff to learn because we've all got them, and these are our character defects. And coming up, number one is resentment. So who wants to start reading? Amy, can you keep track of who's reading? Because I can't keep track of what's going on here.
Sure. Do you want Maya to keep going or switch over to like Annie
Whatever.
maybe? Maya, you want to keep reading a little bit?
Sure. I'll read what the first couple paragraphs here of resentment.
Yeah, let's read at least 2 paragraphs and then maybe Annie can read the rest.
Resentment. Resentment is common among all alcoholics. We are never safe from it, and as intangible as it may seem, it does pay off in material ways with destructive force and energy. Resentment is dynamite to the alcoholic. In studying Alcoholics Anonymous, we are reminded resentment is the #1 offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stem all forms of spiritual disease, for we have not only mentally and physically ill, we have been not only mentally and physically ill, we've been spiritually sick. Resentment is pure mental drunkenness. We must treat it mentally and spiritually to remain physically dry.
Yeah, I just want to pause there for 1 second. So when you're going back and you're reading this stuff, pay attention, okay? It's the #1 offender. More people will go out and drink on a resentment they haven't got rid of than anything else, okay? #1, right? And then look at that line for those of you who've been sober for a while. Resentment is pure mental drunkenness. So if you're sober and you're hanging on to resentments, then emotional sobriety is what we're in here to work on in this step. Let's carry on.
Do you want me to keep going or is it Annie now?
Annie.
Yeah, Annie, if she's okay with it.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Annie Alcoholic. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. We listed people, institutions, or principles with whom we were angry. We asked ourselves why we were angry. In most cases, it was found that our self-esteem, our pocketbooks, our ambitions, our personal relationships, including sex, were hurt or threatened. So we were sore. We were burned up. We make up our grudge list, decide who is enclosed in your circle of hatred, and determine why you hold them there. Has your life been any happier because of this resentment? Were they really the offenders?
Okay, this is my pissed off list, okay? Let's just call it simply what it is. Let's keep this real simple when we're doing this. Just make a list, brainstorm. Who am I pissed at? That's basically what we've said here. Okay, carry on.
The founders of Alcoholics Anonymous answer the question with the definite statement. It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads only to futility and unhappiness. To the precise extent that we permit these, do we squander the hours that might have been worthwhile. They explain that resentment dwarfs the maintenance and growth of spiritual experience, which is the only hope of the alcoholic.
Okay, let's move on now to the next big one, right? Dishonesty.
Jana, would you like to read? Yeah,
Okay, so dishonesty. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. Dishonesty requires little further comment. It has no place in our program. It must be eliminated if we are to succeed at all. Honesty with yourself, God, and other people is the keystone in AA. Bridge that spans the alcoholic chasm.
Yeah, chasm, yep.
Chasm to permanently happy sobriety.
So I'm just going to stop you there. This is a lot of really fancy words. of basically saying honesty is your bridge. Okay, honesty, you're going to get as how free do you want to be? So to be honest with yourself and honest with your higher power, and then honest with other people and in your relations insofar as you are not harming yourself or other people. So don't get hung up on or have the notion that you're going to go out working on this and suddenly declare and sing to everybody at the top of the treetops, "Hi, I'm Jill, I'm an alcoholic, and I'm sorry to everybody and everything." You don't have to do that, right? It's got to start with you. It's got to start with you. And don't overthink it, okay? It's just being how free do I want to be in my gut? Okay, let's carry on.
Okay.
Sorry, Gary here. I just wanted to say on
So without honesty, the AA program would become an inconsistent, hypocritical way of life. It would become negative and antagonistic to recovery. The practice of dishonesty in any form helps to tear down the alcoholic defense against the first drink, which the alcoholic will eventually take if he or she cannot be honest.
Okay, let's pause there. And Gary, you had a comment?
Well, yes, Gary Alcoholic. I just wanted to say when people talk about the program and they talk about this the principles behind this program, the basic ones are the how, honesty, openness, and willingness. Those are the three key principles. Because some people ask, well, what are the principles of the AA program? Well, that's it, And what's the first one? It's honesty. If you want to get better, if you want to change, you have to be honest with yourself. And next week, start getting always honest with other people. But right now, the whole point is just to be honest with yourself. Who am I? If I want to change, I need to know who I am right now. And stop there.
Yeah, perfectly said. Okay, who wants to read criticism?
Karen
I
had
will.
this hand raised. Did you
Yeah.
address that? Oh.
It was actually to read. I thought it would possibly simplify. So Kieran, alcoholic. Criticism, a form of negative judgment, is absolutely out of our fellowship picture. It is a black sheep in the AA family, a malicious carrier of strife and rebellion. It deprives us of peace of mind and contented sobriety. Well-meaning advice can be most helpful because of its sincerity. Criticism is viciously opposed to the AA personalities we are trying to develop. It is not a gesture of cooperation indicating friendly interest, but rather a destructive force that breeds self-pity, jealousy, resentment, and ill will. The common interest of the AA program is sobriety. Criticism has no place in helping either an individual or a group to gain or maintain sobriety. Fault-finding and gossip will destroy the results of constructive AA efforts. They serve no good purpose and should be controlled with tolerance and understanding, curbing our tendencies toward criticism. If you must deal in criticism, confine your practice to self-criticism.
Okay, that last sentence, when you guys get down to doing your homework, yeah, don't take other people's inventory, right? We just take our own. Anybody want to add to that on anything on criticism? Gary, you got anything else there? Okay, the next is self-pity.
I can read that. Lara, alcoholic addict. Self-pity is not generally regarded by alcoholics as a particularly harmful emotion. We have all indulged in various forms of self-pity, the most common being the type experienced while enduring the tortures of a hangover. Other forms of self-pity involve resentment and hatred brought on by real or fancied wrongs, by acts of God, by ill luck or disease. Self-pity is often outright rebellion against circumstances of our own making when we feel sorry for ourselves and assume negative attitudes towards life. It is not until we see in this emotion evidence of resentment and until we realize that it gives us the wrong attitude towards life and towards those with whom we associate that we understand the necessity for its elimination. We alcoholics free ourselves from all forms of resentment. Our happiness in life depends on our attitudes and service towards others. We cannot afford to subject ourselves to self-pity because of its relationship to resentment and an inferiority. Self-pity retards our recovery from alcoholism by closing our minds to the wholesome, helpful opportunities around us. It promotes self-centered thinking that should be directed towards understanding God and establishing an intimate relationship with Him. Emotional maturity and AA growth are stunted by self-pity. This extreme form of self-centeredness lacks faith and opposes spiritual growth. We seek God's help to treat this form of serious character defect. Treatment. Recognize self-pity. Pray to lose this defect. Cultivate appreciation of our sobriety. Thank God for it. Help another alcoholic. Thus, we develop new spiritual strength that supplements fear and dependency. Thus, we eliminate self-pity.
Okay, that needs a little bit of translation. Basically, we're easy to dismiss this one. So we all feel sorry for ourselves to a certain degree. But remember, this is a program of getting out of self. And I'll just share a personal experience with this one. I've had more setbacks physically than you might think is fair. I've had 9 joints replaced and spent endless amount of time in hospital, and there's been some really bad screw-ups beyond my control. And I could feel really sorry for myself, as I did when I just about drank myself to death after one of the procedures, where I just thought, well, I'm never going to ride again, and I'm never going to be as good at, you know, poor Jill, and boy, did I keep pouring myself another glass of wine, or in a reality, opening yet another bottle. It has no place. Self-pity. And whatever ails us, this is where, for me, I call this the grow up step. Like when I have to grow up and say, everybody's got stuff going on. Everybody's got, what life is lifey for all of us. But the whole aim here is to get out of self. And that's why it says in the treatment part, first of all, is recognize it. I'm feeling sorry for myself because I'm not getting something I want. You're not giving me something I want. There's a whole bunch of reasons for me to be in self-pity. And then it says, cultivating, what does it mean when it says cultivate appreciation of our sobriety? Okay, yeah, give yourself some credit. You are not drinking today. Thank God for it. Then get out of yourself and help somebody else. Pick up the phone and do some homework with somebody. Really work these steps deeply. In other words, I get self-esteem by doing esteemable acts, and then I no longer feel sorry for myself. I start to like myself. Does that make sense? Because that's what we're working to, guys. We're trying to work towards the sober version of ourselves that we want to be. Okay, let's kick off with jealousy. Who's next?
John, alcoholic. Jealousy. Few, if any, men or women escape this emotional monstrosity. Jealousy's width and length are fear and self-pity. Its depth is anger, resentment, and frustration. Jealousy of another's good standing, personality, talent, or personal possessions can prey upon the human mind until, like a malignant cancer, it injures or destroys. The beginner who takes the time to analyze jealousy finds in it a combination of all his or her pet imperfections. You are advised to make this analysis and acquaint yourselves with this harmful form of mental drunkenness. Search for blind spots that lead alcoholics back to compulsive drinking. A close inspection will show an astounding array of moral defects. They may appear in mild or passive forms, yet they are all there. Self-pity, resentment, intolerance, dishonesty, criticism, suspicion, anger. From this inspection, we learn that fear and frustration bind them all together. It is well to avoid this compound emotion, which can so easily jeopardize a member's mental health and lead him or her into resentment, bitter hatred, and drunkenness.
Brilliant, John. Okay, on to intolerance. Who's next?
Did Michelle want to read?
Sure, I can read again. Intolerance. Lack of intolerance has much to do with the first drink, which under certain circumstances, the alcoholic is unable to resist. The condition existed when physical distress was experienced. When the realities of life became too demanding on our time and energy, when mental tension was great, when resentment at home or in business became unbearable, when business was poor, when we became fatigued through overactivity, or when we were faced with other distracting circumstances. We felt that conditions had reached a breaking point. We became intolerant of them, so we got drunk. We should never forget the intolerable hangovers, the despair of compulsive drinking, or God's help in its removal. We need more help with new problems. Do not expect God to eliminate them overnight. The practice of tolerance is part of a recovery. It aids spiritual progress and helps us control our emotions. It nurtures centered sobriety. Evidence of intolerance in a member is not a good sign. It shows a lack of equilibrium and indicates symptoms of an unstable mental and spiritual status. Our attitude of tolerance, where it should be reasonably be expected, reflects our understanding and practice of the AA philosophy as a way of life. Alcoholics have constantly poached on the tolerance of humankind. They have much to amend in this respect and should reverse their field at once by showing consideration where it is due. We do not believe tolerance of improper situations makes good sense. God gave us intelligence to determine between good and bad. Therefore, we find as much harm in being tolerant of wrong thought or action as we did in intolerance of the right things. Discretion in the use of tolerance is necessary, but if we are practicing the AA program as a way of life, we will find ourselves compromising with persons whom we have long been intolerant of. Tolerance towards both new and old members who are sincerely trying to live in this program is essential to our recovery from alcoholism. If they are honestly trying to make it AA their way of life, we owe it to them to help. We owe them our help. It is not wise to become intolerant of conditions that we cannot change. The AA program advises us to gain an understanding of God's will. The condition that cannot be changed may be against the will of God. We should not view it with intolerance, but rather direct our time and energy in helpful constructive activity where satisfactory results are possible. God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Thank you, Michelle. That was a big one. Okay, who wants to pick up on fear?
I can do fear if you want. Is that a go? Yes?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. Fear. The tendency of alcoholics to discount fear as contributing to alcoholism often causes newcomers to underrate its importance in their inventories. They erroneously associate fear with cowardice and want no part of it. Yet fear had much to do with their drinking, and full knowledge of it is essential to their recovery. It is an emotion that has a definite place in the lives of all human beings. Primitive humans could not have survived without it. Experience made them afraid of dangerous or destructive things which they were powerless over, and fear then supplied the extra energy needed to avoid or escape bad circumstances. When used for actual purposes of self-preservation, fear gives us the caution and discretion necessary for requirements of everyday living. Fear prompts us to take safe procedures and protect our families against poverty and disease. Under its impulse, we gain energy to build homes, to work, face reality, and assume responsibility. As alcoholics, we have a few of fear's positive qualities. We have primarily used the negative aspects, specializing in anxiety, dread, worry, uncertainty, and apprehension of harm or evil that always seems just around the corner. Urged by fear of hangovers and alcoholic insomnia, we hid liquor all over our homes. Fear of truth filled us with dread and uncertainty. Anxiety constantly beset our efforts to conceal addiction, to uphold our lies, to dodge our creditors. Fear of domination, public opinion, loss of home and finances allowed no peace of mind. The negative elements of fear belong in our inventory. On page 65, chapter 5 of Alcoholics Anonymous, we find examples of fear in our lives and a way to classify them. Part of our personality change centers around our understanding and treatment of this emotion. The AA program is not founded upon fear. It's a spiritual way of life based on the power, rather than our own, on faith and a power greater than ourselves, to overcome fear and other defects of our alcoholic personalities. We have seen members try to find contented sobriety based on their attempt of self-education motivated by the fear of alcohol. They do not stay sober long. We have known them to try to protect themselves from drinking by total abstinence from bars and nightclubs, under the assumption that they would be sorely tempted by such an environment. From their experience, we believe that such abnormal worry indicates a half-hearted attempt at the program and is in reality an unacknowledged desire to drink again. Alcoholics Anonymous states, in our belief, any scheme of combating alcoholism which proposes a shield to shield the sick man from temptation is doomed to failure. If the alcoholic tries to shield himself, he may succeed for a time, but he usually winds up with a bigger explosion than ever. We have tried these methods. These attempts to do the impossible have always failed. Keep going.
Long one.
I can take over if you want.
Okay.
Hey, Lara, alcoholic addict. So our rule is not to avoid a place where there is drinking if we have a legitimate reason for being there. Go or stay away, whichever seems best. But be sure you're on solid spiritual ground before you start, and that your motive in going is thoroughly good. Being on spiritual ground is the important thing, but we must not overlook the fact that we have a definite part to play. God can help us only if we are willing and trying to get well. The realization that temptation will always be present and that we never have successfully avoided it before should bring us close to God for help. We have no knowledge of how or when the urge to drink will come. We know it will, however, and we cannot wait until it's upon us. We must prepare ourselves with faith and prayer for our hour of need. Steps 1 and 2 suggest we come to an understanding of all our alcoholic problems. We are never to forget our powerlessness over alcohol and the insane behavior and unmanageable living it brings. Nature backs up this theory with dreams of drinking, dreams that are so realistic they fill us with genuine remorse and further our determination to gain contented sobriety. We must admit we are alcoholic. It is good for us to do so. All members should strive to cultivate an honest, realistic evaluation of what alcohol does to them as partial insurance against a possible return to drinking. This does not impact the use of fear, but rather of intelligence to avoid further alcohol addiction. We are not afraid of alcohol.
Alcohol can be all around us without harmful effects if our spiritual ground is right and we are on a 24-hour practice of our philosophy. We should, however, be afraid to drink it as we would be afraid of any other poison. Thus, we fortify our minds with prayer and with the mental resources God has given us. Intelligent use of mental pictures based on knowledge of our alcoholic status is invaluable to our recovery from alcoholism. We do not rebel against the fact we cannot drink or use other poisons. Contented sobriety will come easier when we have learned to take alcohol out of the beverage classification and place it where it rightfully belongs for us, among the poisons. Members who are unable to overcome their fear by practice of the AA program should consult their doctors or psychiatrists who will probably be able to help them. Such aid plus help from our program usually straightens them out and makes contented sobriety possible. Fear that does not constitute an obsession can be corrected by the philosophy provided in our AA program. Fear is nothing more or less than a distorted faith in the negative things of life and the evils that might beset us. AA philosophy does not concern itself with anxiety or fear. As alcoholics, we were once unstable because of problems and anxieties that seemed impossible to remedy. The spiritual concepts of this program have removed them and have replaced them with peace of mind. We no longer worry. We have received a spiritual reprieve. This reprieve is extended from day to day by God in recognition of our appreciation of his help and the unselfish service we render to others. Our antidote for fear is faith, not the distorted faith in fear, but rehabilitating all out faith in God as we understand him. We have found this to be an effective measure in overcoming all fears the alcoholic is subjected to.
Fabulous. Okay, we're getting there. Who's on to anger? This is the last one.
John.
Blind spots. Got two more. Yeah, anger and blind spots.
Anger. Anger in itself is a legitimate feeling, but it can be misused by indulging in it or dumping it unfairly onto others. An alcoholic whose emotions are dominated by anger, either overt or covert. An alcoholic whose emotions are dominated by anger, either overt or covert and unexpressed, will not progress in the program until he or she has dealt with the destructive efforts of such anger.
I'm just going to stop you there for a second, Gord, because that one, that paragraph's a bit hard to translate. And how I translate that, it's talking about holding in anger as well as our expressed anger. So both forms there. That's essentially what it's trying to say clumsily. Carry on, Gord.
I'll just scroll down a tiny bit more. There we go.
You're doing
Often the alcoholic combines anger and self-pity and feels victimized by the world. The alcoholic can then justify abusive behavior on the ground that others deserved it or asked for it. This type of destructive anger is identified in the Big Book as a dangerous emotion for alcoholics. If we were to live, we had to be free from anger. The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. They may be the dubious luxury of normal men, but for alcoholics, these things are poison. Here, the Big Book speaks of the corrosive anger that is either held onto and never expressed, or to the explosive outbursts of abusive anger that is common to many alcoholics. These feelings can lead back to self-pity and resentment and cause slips. In everyday life, alcoholics will meet situations that will provoke anger. Alcoholics are not saints. We are not perfect. We will still feel and experience anger. The important thing minutes to check yourself from venting anger unjustly upon someone else, or from holding on to anger and letting it turn into resentment, or from turning it inward upon yourself so you feel unworthy and depressed. Anger can be cleanly expressed in a non-threatening and non-abusive way, and then you can let go. Usually the alcoholic will find some other deeper emotion behind anger, such as fear or sadness. Anger is often a cover-up for our feeling of inadequacy. The alcoholic is only human. Alcoholics are subject to all human impulses and are often faced with conditions that arouse anger, but we need not be ignorant of the potential destructiveness of unexamined anger or the inroads its impulses can make upon recovery. In compiling our inventories, let us keep in mind the fact that we are alcoholics, that we are physically, mentally, and spiritually, that we are sick physically, mentally, and spiritually, and that we have been unable to recover from our illness through our own efforts, that thousands of alcoholics before us have affected their recovery by exchanging their alcoholic personalities for the happy, sober personalities brought about by the AA way of living. With this in mind, we call upon our power greater than ourselves to help guide us in making searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves as one of the steps necessary for recovery from our illness, alcoholism.
Okay, so one thing that you really need to focus on there, everyone, is that these things can be layered, right? So under the anger, it said there, anger, deeper emotion behind the anger, and again, it comes back to fear, okay? Our fears. And it's both anger that we express and anger that we hold in. Okay, we've got blind spots to get through, and then we're going to go over what the homework is. Who'd like to do the last reading?
John, alcoholic. Blind spots. Despite our sincere efforts to make honest inventories of all the flaws in our makeup that caused our failure, some defects will not be recorded. Why? Simply because we failed to see them. Our mental and moral vision has been blinded too long by alcoholic reservation and rationalization. It is necessary to reserve space in our inventories for the blind spots we will later uncover. We should not worry about these undisclosed defects, but tolerate their existence and let AA as a way of life reveal them. We then list them for correction. Summarization. Having decided to let God direct our will in our unmanageable lives, we step out of the driver's seat to inspect our alcoholic personalities. We make a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves, not as psychiatrists, but as sick lay people who need simple understanding of our ills and defects, things that God will sublimate or help us outgrow. AA personality changes begin from such honest evaluation. Pages 64 to 71, chapter 5 of the Big Book, suggest innumerable character defects common to alcoholics that should be listed in a written inventory. From our inventories, we learn the spiritual illness of resentment and dishonesty, the frustration of jealousy, suspicion, self-pity, fear, anger, and false pride, and the harmful nature of criticism, intolerance, and vindictiveness. We vitalize our deadened conscience as we catalog our devastating, self-centered habits. We learn to discern between right and wrong as we make our inventories, honest written records. This written inventory may be the difference between sobriety and another drunk.
All right. Okay, good job, everybody. Okay, so we got through that. You've done the reading now in the little red book once. Now I want you to turn to the workbook for step 4 and to the page that says assets and liabilities. It's page 31. And basically there's a list here of in the workbook, assets, thoughtfulness of others. That's it. You got there. Yeah. Okay, what I really like about this is let's just take a look here how these are opposites of each other. And it's starting with our assets. Okay, so there's a whole list of them. And then when you flip the page, it continues on the next page. So this is your prompt list. This doesn't mean you have to have every one of these things. But if you're struggling, what I love about what we're going to do is we're going to start off going through our positive qualities. Okay, this is not the beat up session of I'm going to smack myself around. So see where that's exactly, so you, Amy, that's the overview, the first 2 pages. Then it says positive quality guide. And this is a list of some virtues that you may have. It's a guide only. So if you've got other virtues that you think of that come to mind on this, list it. The list is yours. This is your guideline, but it is also your homework. And you're going to put an example next to it. So don't think that each of these particular things is listed. You must think of one thing for each of them. Feel free to add your own or replace them. Make this list your own. And this is for you. Okay, this is where we're going to take a real honest look at ourselves. And we're going to start off by going through all the beautiful things about ourselves. Okay, and then it gets the negative qualities guide. And that's where it starts with resentment, dishonesty, criticism. And so the paragraphs that we've just read and elaborated on are the negative qualities. Not everything that's listed here, but the main ones are there. So if you're having trouble defining whether you have that trait, go back and read that segment again. And then what we're going to do, well, Gary, why don't you take over and explain how the homework works?
Yeah, as Jill said, in this particular exercise, you look at your positive attributes first, then you look at the negative ones and pick out the ones that you can see right off the bat that relate to you. But as it kind of says in the step, one thing to remember when you start looking at the negative side is that this is a fearless inventory, not a fearful inventory. So don't get hung up on the emotions that come when you start to think of examples of resentments or criticism or self-pity or whatever. Just write them down, take an objective look at yourself, write the stuff down, the ones that apply to yourself. And one of the things that I found when you do the list sometimes is that things that you think are really assets can end up, when you really look at them closely, becoming liabilities. One example is if you say, I'm great at attention to detail. When you really look at it, you might discover that I'm actually very controlling. I'm a control freak. So take your time to really think about each of these characteristics as you're going down the list, and do the best you can this week. And the whole idea is, go back to the homework. It says go back, read chapter 4 or chapter 5, I should say, how it works. Go back and read step 4 again, and work your way through these. And then if you're struggling with any of it, you come back next week and we'll review it. We're not asking you to go through anything personal. We just want you to look at the process. And if you've got anything holding you up in the process, then we've got an opportunity to help fine tune it for next week.
Laura, you've got a question? Thanks, Gary.
Hi, yes, thank you. I'm Laura, an alcoholic addict. Yeah, so my confusion is I've almost been sober for 3 years now. So am I doing the steps now just on the new person I am now, or do I try and think about how I was in my addiction? Or do I just meld the two together, or because I've changed quite a bit since growing in this program?
You don't have to rehash the past.
Okay, so
That's the
just
beauty of it.
go in
You're
the
working
here
on
and now.
2.0 forward. The
Okay,
idea is how free do you want to be? Not you don't have to drag yourself back to where you were. You know, you're starting from where you are now and working forward.
okay, okay, perfect. I like that. Thank you.
Unless of course you're perfect, and then you can
Then we have
just
to
sit
have
back
another
until next
talk.
week. Yeah, then go back and look at honesty again.
And for those of you who this is your first go, it's a best efforts, right? Don't get hung up on this stuff. Just do a sit down. You know, I spent more time thinking about it than I actually did doing the step. I spent more time worrying about it. So if you're, you know, you've had enough coffee now and you just want to sit down and start working on this stuff, stream of consciousness. It's a best effort. There is no perfect step 4. Come on in, John. I see his hands up. Is that for something that is his hand up? Oh, well, Whistler Mountain Group has their hand up, but no video. Oh, there he is.
That might.
Sorry about
Are they
that.
gonna be-
I just was raising my hand because this evening at the Whistler Mountaintop Group, a gentleman will be celebrating 44 years of sobriety. So if anyone wants to stick around and join our meeting afterwards, you're more than welcome. And sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll
Sounds
put the login details into the group chat there so everyone can see what the because this is in my Zoom group and they can log in with you guys directly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, has anybody got any other questions for doing this work? Like it's a best effort through these sheets, you guys. The one thing if you want to know a little bit more about it, I found super helpful was reading step 4 in the 12 by 12. I just found that the way it's laid out there, it's just some additional instructions, you know, read the homework, additional homework, and then also remember this doesn't have to be a work of art. This is for your eyes only. This is just your go round of what comes up for you and these are prompts, these pages. And this will not be marked. There are no trophies, placings, or awards for the homework. But remember that you will be as free as the amount of effort you put in. And also just don't overthink it. Like you will have more will be revealed. This is a circular process. I pray this isn't the last step for you're going to do, but we start somewhere. And so we tackle the ones that are really obvious to us that are and you know what they are. They're going to come up for you. They're the things that give you disquiet and put you in a state of dis-ease. Alrighty. We're running out of time here, but I'll stick on to talk if anyone wants any further chat about it. Is there any further questions? The recordings.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Barb.
That little red book, is it beneficial to order it through you, or should I just get one off of Amazon?
There's no benefit to it's free on the PDF on the website.
I can't stand staring at computer
Oh,
screen.
I understand. Order it through is it a AA book or is it just through Amazon, Gary?
It's actually, I'm not sure if you can get it through Amazon directly, but it was issued originally. My copy came from Hazelton, which is like a recovery publishing house.
Okay,
Hazelton,
I'll find it
HAA.
online. I was just wondering if through your website it was
Oh
beneficial.
no, it's nothing. No, I don't sell anything on there. It's just free material. But that's definitely, I'm like you. I like the physical copies of this stuff because I like to scribble on things.
And if you're getting the Little Red Book, I would recommend that you also get the Little Red Book workbook,
Because
which
that's
is
what
the
we're
other one that Jill's.
Yeah.
It's the one that's actually got the list. It's the one that has all the key points highlighted as well. So it's supplemental. Like the Little Red Book is supplemental to the Big Book, and the Little Red Book workbook is supplemental to the Little Red Book. So the three of them together are fantastic tools.
Kieran, you've got a question?
I love it. Books on books on books. I was just going to say that I've been listening on, I found on Spotify there was a Little Red Book audio. And so that's been helpful for me as someone that also struggles. It was harder to, I mention it because it was harder to find than everything else, but like it does exist. So that's another way.
Saves me reading that one in too. All right, anyone else? Everybody clear what there is to do? And anyone got any fear? Don't have fear, sweethearts. And listen, pick up the phone and talk to each other about this stuff, or give me a call. Amy, Gary, like we're in this together, and I really love the way you guys are using the chat and supporting each other in the various journeys you're going through. Love to see your hops, which is head on pillow sober, you know, and I like the way you're watching out for each other. I think that's really beautiful. So, and no, we'll put this recording up. Amy will, it'll audio only. There'll be no visuals, but you've got the visual materials. Okay?
Awesome.
And we'll see you back here next week. Is there anyone who wants to stick around with any questions, or shall we call her a night?
Don't forget the Whistler program, the Whistler meeting at 8
Oh
if
yeah, the
y'all want to
Whistler
log in.
meeting. I'm going to give you that right now, you guys.
Have a great night.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great evening. I gotta get set up for the meeting now.
Bye.
Okay, we'll see you in a
Thank you
bit,
very
John.
much.
Yeah. See you in a bit.
Bye guys, thank
so
you.
much, Gary and Jill and Amy, everybody. Good to see you. I'll be going on the Whistler
Awesome
meeting.
job, Jill.
Okay, I'm just looking for it. Why haven't I got it right to hand here? Someone else got the login details handy?
I could get it on
Yeah,
my
I don't know
phone.
why
when
it's
I
not
pull
coming
it
up.
I have it too, I think. Jill, let me look at my phone, wherever my phone went. But if Michelle, if you find it, that's great. I don't know what I do with my
Whistler?
phone.
I'm just gonna pull it up now. It'll.
I can read it off, like, if that helps.
Yeah.
The login number is 832
Oh, you've got it.
832
993 1946.
and password.
It's 582961.
That must be Lance at 44 years, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I will go to that meeting. All right.
See you there in a bit.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.